This guy right here is one of the co-founders of Path of Exile. His name is Chris Wilson, and I gotta admit that as a new Path of Exile player, I really haven't heard anything about him, or anyone in the PoE sphere for that matter. But I heard his name being thrown around relentlessly throughout the PoE community, and everyone has been absolutely adoring this man. So recently he has uploaded a video called Dark Patterns, Are Your Games Playing You? Now a lot of people have talked about this already, but I just want to watch it and give my 2 cents on it, because I genuinely think that so many people have spoken graciously about this man, and I just have to see for myself what is he gonna talk about and what his opinions are, because he truly piqued my interest.
A few years ago, a friend of mine carried a laptop 6 kilometers through the bush just to log into a game and keep a daily login streak alive. That's not fun. That's not entertainment.
That's dedication.
That's a dark pattern.
Absolutely.
Hi, I'm Chris Wilson. In this video, I want to show you how some modern games manipulate your schedule, your wallet, and even your friendships. You may have heard the term dark pattern before. It refers to a design that deliberately manipulates user behavior, usually to get those users to spend money or engage more than they intended. A classic example is a hotel site flashing scarcity cues like, only 1 room left, 4 people are booking right now.
Classic.
You also see services that are easy to sign up for but hard to cancel. Confirm shaming buttons.
That should actually be considered a crime. I've encountered so many sites that the subscription is so easy to get in, to subscribe, and it's super difficult to find your way out. You have to go like through 3 or sometimes 4 confirmation buttons and stuff to read and all that stuff that obfuscate your way out of canceling your subscription. This should literally be considered a crime. And I'm not even joking. It should literally be considered a crime, and whoever does that on any site whatsoever should be penalized.
Say, I'd rather pay full price. Optional extras like shipping insurance being automatically added to your shopping cart, or pop-ups that say, don't leave yet, you have unpurchased items. Dark patterns like these are increasingly common, to the point where regulators and consumer groups are starting to push back.
Thank God, it is way too late. I'm super surprised that the EU, which usually stands up for these type of things, haven't really done anything against microtransaction, at least not in a very meaningful way. I mean, games like Diablo Immortal, right? Yeah, you can clap right now if you find it funny. Of course you haven't, but yeah, outside of the cringe, Diablo Immortal has, I think, over 5 different currency levels, right? I mean, you have all the weird stuff, I forgot how they're called, but you have so many different currencies in video games right now, it should be banned. Straight up, you should have 2 or 3 max type of currencies. You shouldn't have more than that, but honestly, you should just have 2. Real life money and in-game money. That's it. You shouldn't have anything else. And also, I hate the fact that video games make you purchase in-game money not using your dollars. So what it means, it basically just show you that, hey, this item costs X amount of special coins, but they know that if they told you that this skin for an item, whatever, is gonna cost you $5, less people would have purchased that item. They know it for a fact. And that's why they use all of these obfuscation and all of these tricks, and they hire psychologists to analyze the human brain and like the purchasing power one person have and how they spend their money. And there's an entire thing about it. I'm not gonna go into it, and oh my god, dude, I'm literally 1 minute into the video and I already ranting. So let's let the guy talk, and then I'm gonna continue my rant.
Today I want to talk about a less discussed form of dark patterns, and that's their use in the games that we play and make. Given how much money is made by the games industry, it's no surprise that some developers are applying psychological principles to the reward systems of their games to manipulate players into engaging more.
Yep.
In this video, I'm not talking about gameplay systems that are intentionally addictive or immersive. That's part of the entertainment you signed up for. I'm talking about the meta systems, monetization tricks, retention loops, psychological hooks, and UI traps that manipulate you outside of the actual gameplay.
Slowing down the game and giving you a solution for faster leveling, it also should be considered a crime. Creating a problem and selling a solution, it is 100% a crime, and anyone who engages in that should be penalized. Again, like I said multiple times before, 100%.
Another way to look at this is, if a developer focuses on making a game as compelling as it possibly can be, and it ends up really fun, interesting, and makes players want to play it again and again, then that developer won't need to rely on manipulative psychological tricks to artificially improve their metrics.
Yep.
Okay, enough preamble. Let's get into some dark patterns. So, like with non-game products, user interface dark patterns are common. For example, some mobile games ask you to rate them out of 5 stars. If you pick 5, you're sent straight to the App Store to leave a review. Anything less sends you to a developer feedback form instead. This quietly biases actual reviews towards higher ratings by making lower scoring reviews harder to leave.
Yep.
Another example of a user interface dark
100%.
pattern is a game that allows you to spend real money to level up gems that can be socketed into your gear. But players might find that once they have completely maxed out a gem at great expense, more sockets appear, requiring them to spend more money than they initially intended to completely max out their character.
Talking about.
This moving of the goalposts could potentially manipulate players into thinking they were going to complete their character for one price when it actually costs a lot more. They may not have committed to spending as much if they knew that from the start.
Of course.
Dark patterns in games extend far beyond just deceptive user interfaces, though. They're typically categorized as temporal, social, psychological, and monetary dark patterns. I've put some links to some of my references that have comprehensive lists in the video description, but I'll go through a few of the major ones with you right now. Before we get started, I should note that pretty much any mechanism that tries to manipulate a change in user behavior is considered a dark pattern in games, but the severity varies a lot. Some of them are much more mild than others, and will all have different opinions about which of them are harmless and which are going too far. I'll weigh in with my personal feelings about this later in the video. Many live service games have daily login rewards. In behavioral psychology, when an action is followed by a reward,
if I ever see a game with daily login rewards, I quit. It's just that simple. My brain isn't wired this way. And I had a game that I looked for a very long time to come outside of Korea. This game is very popular. It's called Lost Ark. I'm pretty sure you all know about it, or at the very least heard about it, because it was very huge when it finally came here to the West. Now, I was one of the first to actually try it out. And I remember after leaving the tutorial, very satisfied by the way, because the tutorial zone is very good. I saw the amount of daily login bonuses you had, and I immediately uninstalled the game. A game that I've been waiting for years on end. I've been looking forward for this game to come to the West. And the moment it came, I quit. On the spot, just because of daily logins. Now, logins, like just because of the daily login. Right? Why say it like an idiot? Never mind that. Okay, so anyway, I waited for it years on end, and when it finally came out, I just left because of this cringe. And it may only be me, but I'm sure a lot of people do this. That being said, I think that the industry tried to normalize this type of things, and I think more and more people, especially young ones, that have already came to the conclusion that that's how video games operate, and it is what it is, and they got used to it. They stay, and we old gamers are kind of just tired of it. Now, do I think that in the future this thing will cease to exist? No. I think that unless some governmental power will take control of this issue, nothing will change. Companies won't change because obviously all of these things gives them a lot of money. Now, unfortunately, usually money is tied up to the government because whenever a company is getting a high amount of money, it pays a lot of taxes and it reaches the government. So I don't want to get like too political in here, but you know how it works and I know how it works because I'm close to my 30s. And yeah, man, I'm just tired of it. It sucks, but I don't see it stopping anytime soon. The battle passes, all of this stuff, I don't see a good ending for it. I really hope that I'm wrong, but right now, I don't see it.
Your brain learns to repeat it. Every day that you log in and receive this reward, you'll get a hit of dopamine, building a habit over time. Players who are conditioned to logging in every day do it not because they're excited to play, but because it feels like brushing their teeth, just something they have to do.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God.
Some games have login streaks.
So true.
This is where the rewards escalate for each sequential day you log in. When you break the streak, your rewards reset back down to the minimum level. Now, humans have a strong sense of loss aversion, where losses feel roughly twice as bad as gains feel good, and hence players will go significantly out of their way to avoid breaking these streaks. As I mentioned before, I have a friend who was on an off-the-grid camping trip and had to walk 6 kilometers with his laptop and a 3G modem so he could keep a login streak going in some random game he was playing.
That's crazy.
There are even games out there that let you pay real money to restore a broken streak.
Oh my god.
In addition to daily login bonuses,
That's crazy. So he's talking about the sunken cost fallacy. I believe that's how you say it. I don't know if it's really that, but basically, the more you invest, the more you can get out of the game. It's the same principle as gambling. The more money you have in on the pot, you can't afford to lose anymore, right? You want to gain your earnings back. So if you've invested, like, let's say 100 days of a login streak, right? You logged into the same game for 100 days, and the moment you leave for 1 day, that cycle is broken. You don't want to reset from point zero because you already invested 100 days out of your life logging in every single day. Now, this system is predatory. Again, should be banned, should be taken care of. Hopefully it will be in the future, but man, whenever I see a game that gives you this amount of punishment for, I don't know, missing like 1 day, I automatically quit. I do not want to get into this game because I know how bad it feels when you miss that 1 day. I, was, full transparency here. I was part of like very scummy video games. I don't want to, call out any names. You know what? Who cares? I'm going to say it, like Marvel Snap, right? Very garbage game. I played it because I'm a card game Andy, and there wasn't anything really good on the market at the time. So yeah, I played this game, and there are so many predatory elements inside that game that I just couldn't leave it until I just forced myself to, and I ended up quitting like a couple of months ago. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. But these things, they just suck, man. So I completely understand why so many people are hooked on them, but I'm done with it. Enough is enough.
many games have daily tasks or challenges which reset every 24 hours. Players feel obliged to complete these so that the easy rewards don't go to waste. They don't want to miss out on cheap progress that everyone else is getting. Some games rely on dark patterns rooted in social obligation to manipulate you into behaving differently. For example, it's common for mobile base builder games to have guilds or clans where daily participation, like doing quests or donating resources, is important for your guild to succeed. If you don't log in each day and perform these actions, you let your friends down, which causes guilt and social pressure for you to be active daily.
Dude, that's actually
This dark pattern
horrendous.
can exploit and strain our friendships, especially when the game is tuned to make daily participation essential.
Imagine fighting with your friends in real life over you not donating in time. You didn't give me enough wool, and I died of cold. Oh my god, this is horrible. I don't know anything about these games, but because I don't play these type of games, but Jesus, man, if any one of you in the comments play this type of games or know them at least, let me know if this is true, because it actually sounds hilarious.
Essentially mandatory. Other games feature gifting between players, where reciprocation of gifts is rewarded with extra bonuses. This taps into reciprocity pressure to cause you to feel the need to log in daily and return gifts to people. Some games have refer a friend bonuses, or even outright pyramid schemes, where you make faster progress if you have recruited an extensive network of friends to join the game and play with you.
What?
Time-gated tasks, or playing by appointment, are when a game tells you have to come back at a specific time or face consequences.
Oh, this is
Popularized
a hell no.
by farming games where your crops would wither and die if not harvested at the right time, the game forces control of your schedule, sometimes making you wake up in the middle of the night to click buttons or lose your investment. Contemporary mobile games often have timers and energy mechanics, where your ability to progress the game is blocked until you come back when these resources have regenerated. While this is less harsh than your crops being completely lost, you'll feel pressure to come back at exactly the right time to maximize your rate of progress. When you're not the one deciding when you play the game, but instead having the game decide for you, it's worth questioning your entire relationship with that game.
Yep.
Some live service games create artificial scarcity for their store items. As entirely digital purchases, there's no physical requirement to limit the number of people who can purchase something, but doing so often causes it to sell much faster due to players fearing they're going to miss out. This pattern is similar to the one employed in gacha games, where they often have certain characters available for purchase only occasionally, causing a frenzy of activity when they are.
Yeah, the rotating shop is literally in every video game whatsoever nowadays. And you know it means a lot about the current video game industry when everything that he's talking about is absolutely true. And pretty much in every single video game as well. These predatory tactics are literally ubiquitous. They are everywhere. It is insane, and you can't shake it off. There's so many bad actors to the point where even the bad actors, you just define them by levels of bad acting, and you kind of take away the lesser evil. You don't take the good anymore. There is no good. There's only lesser evil. And that is what unfortunate reality is. Like, that's just really, really bad. It just sucks.
Not only does this cause more sales, but it conditions players to check in with the game daily to see if the character they want is available for sale. There are a variety of dark patterns related to premium currency in games. Developers can design their premium currency packs to be slightly too small to buy the most desirable items, requiring players to purchase more premium currency at once than they plan to.
Classic.
Developers can pick arbitrary exchange rates for their premium currency, so that players can't really understand the true cost of the item they're buying.
Obfuscation.
Cheap items can be placed next to expensive items in the store to make them look like better value. Some games employ special in-game or monetization events that are time-limited or seasonal. The content and rewards are only available for a limited time window. Players do not want to miss out on a unique reward that may never be available again, so this limited availability causes fear of missing out, which leads to intense and anxious play.
FOMO is utilized by literally every company nowadays. Literally every company. Now, I'm not saying that FOMO is 100% a bad thing. I think that for certain occasions, it can be fine. But again, I hate it when companies utilize it to the darkest extent where you feel like you have to play the game right now or do something right now, or else it is lost forever. I think that it is really bad, and I really hate it. And he's absolutely right about everything he said, even about the money thing, right? The obfuscation, and obviously the thing where, let's say, a skin for a video game costs 500 coins, and then you go to the store to purchase 500 coins, but there aren't any 500 coins pack. You only have 400 packs and 1k pack. So you have to buy the 1k pack, or you gotta buy the 400 one twice, which is essentially almost the same thing. They calculate it so you always have to purchase just slightly more than what you intended. And that is the scummy thing that I truly hate.
The event window. There's also a phenomenon called the endowed progress effect,
as well, all of
which shows that if players are given a head start on a reward track, then they are far more likely to finish the rest of that track so that they don't waste the progress they have so far, even though they didn't even make that progress themselves. It's a bit like the sunk cost fallacy. This is why some Battle Pass schemes start with the first items already completed, or have some really easy ones that are inadvertently completed while playing. This manipulates players into committing to complete a reward track that they may not have chosen to attempt without the free bump of progress at the start. So we've gone through a bunch of different dark patterns, and some of them seem pretty user hostile. You may be wondering, why would developers pollute their live service games with all this crap? Well, there are several answers to that question. And the first is that it works. These techniques are all highly effective. They produce the desired outcomes. They manipulate well-understood psychological principles that our human brains are vulnerable to.
Give us
the second reason is that players generally tolerate many of these design patterns pretty well.
Exactly.
Have a look at the games you play and see what techniques they're using from this video. Ask yourself if these are a big enough deal that you'll quit playing the game entirely over them. Chances are
100% facts. And I'm so sorry that I'm cutting this honorable gentleman in the middle of every goddamn sentence, but he is spitting fire and brimstone. This man is a giga chad, and he's absolutely 100% correct on every single thing that he has just said. That is 100% true, based, and real. The problem is not really the companies, it is us, the players. We vote with our wallets, and we vote trash every single time.
You're still playing the game despite the presence of these manipulative elements. Another important reason is mindshare. There are a lot of live service games out there, and players have a limited amount of free time. If a game doesn't have all of the addictive hooks and manipulative retention mechanisms we discussed, then its players may find themselves compulsively logging into other games to complete daily tasks and forget to play this one. There are also foreign publishers. When a game releases and is popular in its home regions, publishers from other countries approach the studio and offer to localize and market the game in their region.
Oh,
But
no,
in order
he's
to
gonna
take
say
the
it.
risk of investing in license fees and marketing costs, the publisher is going to want to make sure the game is as sticky and lucrative as possible.
Slight changes.
The publisher dares not suggest changes to the actual game itself, as the game is already proven to be good. So the only way they have to juice the retention and monetization is through meta systems, which very easily stray into dark pattern territory. Finally, the entire games as a service industry measures the value of a game as a function of its daily active user count and its retention rates. If you're making a live service game, you're only going to be able to get funding if you have a solid plan to retain your users. That plan probably ends up involving some number of these dark patterns, because you have to compete against other games using these techniques. If you have a publisher or investor involved, they're probably going to want to see industry benchmarked retention and return from your game, and that is benchmarked against other games that are packed full of dark patterns.
They want to see a graph go up so high it would literally break the ceiling. That's what they want to see. They don't care about a graph that is slowly rising to the top. No, they want to see literally this. Okay? Like that's what they want to see. And they won't be satisfied with any other result whatsoever. They don't care about longevity. They don't care about player, retention for the long term. They don't care about player satisfaction, and they don't care about you as a human, generally speaking. So yeah, I mean, it is suck, and I really hope that every company that operates this way will fail, as Ubisoft has, as Blizzard has, even though Blizzard is somehow going strong, I guess because of all of the shenaniganry. They're just milking their whales until they have nothing left, but Blizzard will giga crumble when it all comes down at the end, just like Ubisoft has. But man, right now, we're at the precipice of indie game rising to the top. So I believe the time when AAA companies and all of these perpetrators of the scummy tactics, why did I say it like that? Like the scummy tactics, they're just gonna crumble. I truly believe that we are at the precipice of the golden age gaming era. I truly believe that we're gonna have a golden age for gaming. And we can see that with the current Game Awards, which I'm probably going to cover, by the way, if you guys want to see that. Look at the games that are at the top. Clair Obscure and like Hades 2, all of these great games that came out of nowhere, they're at the top. So people are clearly starting to wake up and understand that the disillusion is slowly setting in. People are waking up. And I really hope I used it word correctly, because I have just recently learned it and I want to just throw it out there. So yeah, I mean, maybe.
If you refuse to use dark patterns in your games, you're effectively competing with games that do use them, while operating at a disadvantage on the metrics that investors care about. This situation really sucks. While by definition, a dark pattern is a design that benefits the developer at the player's expense, some of the techniques mentioned in this video aren't entirely evil, and if clearly communicated and balanced fairly, wouldn't qualify as actual dark patterns.
100%.
For example, it's pretty clear that escalating login streaks are quite manipulative, because players really want to avoid breaking their streak. But flat daily login rewards might be more acceptable to players, because the penalty for not logging in is just missing one day of rewards. If those rewards are sufficiently generous and the game is not manipulative elsewhere, players might be happy with that system.
Exactly.
There are certainly players who really look forward to daily.
I think, again, sorry for pausing all the goddamn time. I'm truly apologizing for that, but I have so much to say in this topic. I probably should have made a video of this on my own, but this guy is so goddamn good, and he can do it like 10 times better than I can, because I'm an idiot who can't speak English properly. But anyway, as I was about to say, I think one game that has done this the best, which is so odd for me to say because it's been made by NetEase, which is, not being really known for it being charitable. And this is Marvel Rivals, a game that I used to cover on this very channel back in the day when it was new, just 6 months ago or so. And Marvel Rivals have a very basic concept of what monetization should be. And this is very simple. Just a battle pass, which you can pay, or you can pay extra, but nobody really pays the extra. Everyone just pretty much pay for the base $10 level battle pass, and you just max it out. You always have extra time to finish it if you missed a couple of days, and all of the quests, they actually changed them during the time while I was gone. So you don't have to complete all the quests to get like all the battle pass. You can complete a few and leave some hanging. It is fine. You will have everything. And if you ever missed out on a battle pass, you can always go back and purchase the battle pass that was previously, before you came into the game, right? So you can take the rewards from there. You're not really missing on anything. You're not forced to log in every day, but you are being rewarded logging into the game daily. So exactly as this guy said, I think Marvel Rival has done this the best. And kudos to them. They really have done this in a very fair way. At least I find it to be really fair.
Bonuses or special events in their favorite games and enjoy the structure and rewards that those bring,
I don't know if they
despite
changed
the
it or
drawbacks
anything.
we've talked about. Some developers argue that a little psychological nudge can enhance enjoyment of the game, for example by encouraging players via rewards to explore parts of the game they wouldn't otherwise try out. Achievement systems are a common example of this. I previously talked about how time-limited events can be manipulative because they often offer exclusive rewards that require a lot of work to unlock during a narrow time period and can take advantage of your fear of missing out. This is a problem when the event involves grinding out existing content, but honestly, isn't that bad when the event consists of interesting new content? For example, back in January of 2017, Blizzard celebrated the 20-year anniversary of Diablo 1's release by introducing a special event into Diablo 3. The Darkening of Tristram was an homage to Diablo 1 within the Diablo 3 engine, complete with a pixelization shader and a strict orthographic isometric projection like Diablo 1. Players got to play through this mini version of Diablo 1 with their Diablo 3 characters, and it was honestly pretty cool. Even cynical old me reinstalled Diablo 3 and had a fun time checking it out. It looks like they're still running this anniversary dungeon event annually since then. This was a very well executed example of a time-limited in-game event that was a net win for everyone. I have nothing to complain about there. On the other hand, time-limited events that don't introduce new content can be more dangerous. A number of years ago, a fellow game director told me a story about a live service game he was running. He wanted to increase player activity in the gaps between expansions, so he decided to try running a double experience weekend. It was a huge success and saw way more players playing than usual. After the weekend, however, player numbers dipped down below where they were before the weekend, so they ran another double experience weekend the following weekend. You can predict where the story went. After a while, people only played on those special weekends, because playing on weekdays felt far less worthwhile in comparison. The game eventually shut down. While games that overuse dark patterns alienate their users and eventually see the opposite of the good retention they were aiming for, the primary victims of dark patterns are the players themselves. Players affected by dark patterns find themselves compelled into behavior they wouldn't normally perform.
You get addicted to the dopamine rush, and when it fades, you just kind of get tired of it until the day where you actually quit. I know this because I used to be, sweatiest Dota 2 player imaginable for years on end. I used to play Dota 2 until I just had enough. And that's pretty much the entire reason for why I did that.
Whether that's making purchases they hadn't planned for, logging in on days they hadn't intended to play on, grinding content they wouldn't normally choose to grind, referring friends who might not have an interest in the game, or having to set an alarm at 4 a.m. to tend some crops. These actions have both an impact on their day-to-day life, but also reduce their enjoyment of the actual game itself. They often lead to feelings of anxiety, fear of missing out, commitment pressure, guilt, and frustration. The scary thing is, I'm an adult in my 40s who has spent his career working in live service games. I deeply know all about these tricks and still find them affecting me far more than I'm comfortable with. Imagine what it's doing to kids who are incredibly vulnerable to the constant bombardment of gambling, compulsion, addiction, loss aversion, and anxiety-inducing dark patterns that these games contain.
Not only that, this stuff, the entire systems behind it, they literally change the way your brain works, especially when you're young and your brain isn't fully developed. And this is not me inventing things. You can literally search this stuff online. I would highly recommend you watch Dr. K or Healthy Gamer GG. That's his channel name. Very incredible guy, truly an angel in disguise that came into this world. I watch a ton of his videos, and I would highly recommend you watch how all of these patterns affect your brain. And when you're a child, it doubly so, right? Because your brain isn't fully developed and you're not capable of internalizing all of this stuff. I can't really find a word for it, but you can't really process all of this stuff. So yeah, it is really bad, and that's the exact reason why I say all of this should be banned, or should be limited, should be taken care of by a structural power. We can't have it as people, because voting rid of wallet isn't enough, because there's always gonna be someone paying for it. So if I say no and you say no, and like 60% of people or even 70% of people say no, it doesn't matter. Because even if you look at Diablo Immortal, again, I'm bringing this up as the best example possible. Not a lot of people play this game, but the people who do spend a ton of money. Money that you or I combined will never have in our lifetime. So clearly, this needs to be taken care of by the government. It shouldn't be taken care of by the people. Because we can vote with our wallets because we don't have any connections to the guys who actually pay for this stuff.
So far in this video, I've tried to offer a relatively neutral take on the pros and cons of these game design patterns. While they're called dark patterns and have a high potential for abuse, I've explained that some of them are moderately harmless if used in a way that provides a lot of value for players. But if you're watching my channel, you probably want my actual opinion on all of this. I put a lot of thought into this area because I used to run a live service game, and I frequently had to make decisions related to what design patterns were used for meta systems, retention mechanics, and monetization. So here's my current take on this topic. First of all, I think that pretty much everything...
Imagine if he just pauses, look directly into the camera, and says, "Screw Blizzard." that would be hilarious. Dude, I would... Oh my god, that would gain them so many subs. Man, I'm not even gonna lie. That would have been hilarious.
...is fair game in terms of the actual design of the game itself. If it...
Just drop in an F-bomb on Blizzard. That would be so good.
The game is targeted at adults rather than children. I don't have a problem with people leaning on behavioral psychology research when designing the actual gameplay of the game and its reward systems within the game. Make your games fun. Make them compelling.
Absolutely.
Make people want to play them and want to return to them for their own merits. Your job as a game designer is to make a really fun game, and understanding how the human brain works is important for that. Players becoming invested in your game and deeply caring about their progression is a good thing. It's why people play games. But I draw the line at deploying dark patterns because they are related to retention systems, meta progression, and monetization. When I'm playing a game, I don't want to have a fear of missing out that makes me feel like I have to play.
Exactly. It's like how you can have food that tastes good, but a lot of companies just shove tons and tons of sugar into their foods to make it addictive, right? Because you don't need cereals to taste like actual sugar canes. You need them to taste good, and you need them to have a moderate amount of sugar, so it'll actually taste nice, right? You need to have the nutritional stuff, and you need to have the sugar. But unfortunately nowadays, that's not the case. They make everything with sugar, literally everything, and that's because they know it's addictive, and you just can't stop. To the point where your taste buds actually get like scrambled all around, and you can't taste anything else. And I know because I'm deeply affected by it. I'm a sugar addict, which is super annoying, and I hate the fact that I myself have like a ton of candies that you can't see in the background right here, like behind the closet. It is what it is, man. I'm a sugar addict. I'll admit it straight up, but I'm trying to stop. It is so horrible, but it is what it is, man.
Frantically during time-limited events.
I really
don't want to
stop
have to log into the game every single day to avoid breaking some stupid streak. I don't want to have to do some minimum amount of activity every day, otherwise I miss out on bonuses. I don't want to have to spam my friends to remind them to log in, otherwise I miss out on rewards. I hate all of this bullshit. When I was growing up, games were designed to be fun, not manipulative. They didn't have literal behavioral scientists and psychologists on staff trying to rewire my brain.
Well, to be fair, when you grew up, the dinosaurs were still alive, so, you know, I know because I'm at that age, right? So, at the time when I was a kid, games couldn't have those systems because the technology wasn't there yet. I don't think people didn't want them to be implemented. Well, I do think that a lot of the developers back in the day were 10 times as honest as we have now, right? Developers nowadays are very scummy, and back in the day, developers were absolutely better. But you can look at even our time. Bethesda, I believe, were the first one to actually imply microtransaction into the game, and this goddamn 2 cents horse thing that was in the game that you could purchase is pretty much what started all of this shenaniganry. It was the first domino to fall. Shame on you, Bethesda.
Look, I love the economic and competitive aspects of live service online games,
right?
but I just don't find myself enjoying most modern ones. Whenever I see daily tasks, seasonal events, and all the exclusivity FOMO, I just lose all hope that I'll actually enjoy playing the game, because I know that it'll be playing me.
Exactly. It's a good indicator that the game is garbage, because you know that if those systems are implemented into the game isn't good enough to hold its own ground. You know that. If a game relies on predatory tactics and brain psychologically manipulative stuff, then you know that at its core, the game is just trash. You know it.
If you're a developer and really want to add retention mechanisms without straying too deeply into dark patterns,
Make
what
the
can you
game
do?
good.
Well, first of all, you should try to make your game as fun as possible on its own merits, before
Exactly.
relying on external meta mechanics to try to add engagement. Once you've done this, it's a matter of transparency, fairness, and respect for your players. Transparently communicate how things work and what players have to do in plain language. Avoid hidden gotchas that players are unaware of. For example, if you're using loot boxes, clearly communicate their drop rates. Try to ensure that optional challenges reward effort rather than...
Well, to be fair, that is not entirely true because Teamfight Tactics do this, and their loot boxes are the most predatory I've ever seen in my entire life. And it's also, I think, a law in some of these states that you have to disclose the number, like the numbers of your loot box. But again, people don't really care about that. It's the gambling aspect that is being obfuscated. It doesn't really matter if you tell people like, hey, you only have 0.00002% to get this exact skin that you want. People would still gamble. So it's not really okay, let's be transparent here about the drop chances. It's more of the gambling thing itself. Like, this should be abolished. I hate loot boxes. No matter how like addictive they are, I think they are bad. I don't think you can make a good loot box, to be honest, unless it's very generous, and then it's to the point where why don't you just have a store?
attendance. Make sure that time-limited events last long enough for real-life schedules. Carefully consider whether reward should be exclusive or whether you should have the event return with the same rewards later, giving players a chance to get them if they miss out this time. It's worth thinking about the concept of time-agnostic gaming. Try not to care about when a player plays your game. Some people can't game every day, but have lots of time available on the weekends. It's unfair if the progress they make is slower than someone who manages to log in every day to claim some type of login reward.
Absolutely.
So that's been a tour through the dangerous world of dark patterns. As game developers, we have an obligation to think very carefully before we employ strategies like these. Push back and make sure that the reason you're adding something is because it's actually adding more fun, rather than because it'll artificially create more retention or juice some other metric. As gamers, we also have an obligation to push back. If you want more game in your games and less bullshit, make sure that you communicate this to developers. Your money and attention are precious. Spend them wisely. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Thank you very
100%.
much, and see you next time.
100%. Such a fantastic video. I'm so sorry that I paused at literally every minute to talk, but every single thing that he said was a W. This video is great. I'm gonna link it to you guys, and you can watch in the description as well. So you can give this like a sub. You can give this like. You can give this guy a sub and like because he deserves it. This video was the best I've seen in a while, and now I can totally see why so many people have been glazing this guy. He's incredible. He's incredible. Wow, this was a fantastic video. I believe that I talked about pretty much everything that I had to say. Everything he said was just true. And I mean, yeah, we live in an unfortunate reality. Now, the call out to developers out there that he put out, I think was great. In reality, I don't think it will change anything because developers aren't really in decision position of their games anymore. It's mostly about like, you know, guy in suits and finance. They are the one making the big calls, and the developers are just kind of like the grunts that do like, hey, like chop the trees, right? These are the developers nowadays. Back in the day, I mean, gamers used to make video games, so it was different, but nowadays that's just not really the case anymore. But the callouts to us players, I think, was the most important one. We should definitely vote with our wallet. Even though it seems like we're not doing anything, we're clearly slowly starting to make dents in these companies. And again, Ubisoft as an example, and I believe that there are plenty more to come. So let's keep it going, guys. Listen to Chris Wilson. This was a great video. Again, I'm gonna leave a link in the description. Go in right now, give him a sub and a like. This was incredible.